What's up, y'all? Wearing my favorite t-shirt. I need more lawyers and accountants minus the lawyers. I'm gonna have an entire video where I just rip the legal industry. They're gonna probably come after me, but anyways, that's not why you're here. Um, this video, I want to be giving you guys the secret sauce of how it is that we achieved 50% qualified lead rates for a real estate lead gen agency. This was mind blowing because before we used to really struggle. Like once we started the appointment setting initiative, we were getting a lot of feedback from our customers that the lead quality just wasn't good. And what's interesting is we brought this part of our business in-house because everybody that we white labeled it to was total shit. It was really hard to find a white label partner that could actually live up to the standards that we had envisioned for our customers. And so by bringing this in-house, we were like, I thought, this is October of 2020. It's like, yeah, I can do a way better job. I worked in sales, I did software sales. I can train these sales reps up and we're going to be able to produce the best leads. It'll be the best trade deal in the history of trade deals. Let me tell you. It was an excellent Trump impression. I actually have no idea how that was. It could be great, it could not be. But anyway, so what I want to talk to you all about is the exact process that we used. And this was after a year and a half of iterations that we had put this together to produce that 50% qualified lead rate for our customers. And this isn't just like things that we say are qualified, it's what the customer reported back to us with their feedback, what was qualified. And they had a vested interest in disproving or making these leads not qualified because they were only paying us for the leads that were qualified. So let's break it down. There's really 5 steps that you need to train your setters on to be excellent at appointment setting. So the first step is, how do we handle curveballs or objections? But it's not just objections, because objections is just the customer saying no and giving a reason why they're saying no. So what's a curveball? Well, this includes fake yeses. What do I mean by fake yeses? It means that the customer is saying yes, but they're not actually giving appropriate next steps. There's no yes with how, because there's not a real yes unless it's a yes with how and the implementation or next steps. So we had actually put together a 20-page playbook, sales playbook. Now, if you want access to it, you're going to have to subscribe to our email list, and have to subscribe to our email list. You don't have to. It's a good idea. It's a good life decision. If you're not already subscribed to our email list, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Please reevaluate and subscribe to our email list. While you're at it, subscribe to the channel. Let's build this community together. Let's build a community of badass agency owners, and let's make it happen. So the next thing that the setters need to be really good at is probing and mirroring. What do I mean by that? Probing is asking open-ended questions. This is something that my VP of sales at my fintech sales job would drill into me. Like, Scott, stop asking yes or no questions. Stop asking the customer yes or no questions. You too. I know you're listening. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. It makes them feel like it's like an interview dynamic, but it is. I don't know about you, but somebody just, have you ever been on a date with somebody and they just ask question after question after question? That's what it feels like. Do you like that? I don't like that. It's a terrible date. It's like, I want to leave. It's like, sorry, honey. I left my fork in my spoon drawer. I gotta go. Now, mirroring is the act of repeating back the most important details that the customer shares with us. So what does that mean? Well, it means that, say, for example, a client says, hey, we're actually, what's really bothering me about my current service provider is the fact that they don't do free delivery. Oh, so you're saying that it upsets you that the current service provider doesn't give you free delivery? And then just that simple action shows the client that we're actively listening. Now, the other part of mirroring is labeling. Now, Chris Voss talks about this in his book, Never Split the Difference, where he specifically points out to label the emotions that it seems like your counterparty prospect is feeling. So say, for example, if a customer sounds confused or they have a vocal inflection of like, stutters, that's where the pain is. So every time that I hear that stutter or like kind of like pause or a little bit of angst at the beginning of the sentence, that's where I know where to probe in even further. That's where we know that the gold nuggets are. That's where the pain is. So once the client gives us that vocal inflection, we can say, oh, Mr. Customer, it sounds like this part of the process upsets you, or it sounds like X upsets you, or that sounds tough. Just by doing that and then pausing, or it sounds uncomfortable. Tough is not as clear of a label as we would like, whereas uncomfortable is a real feeling. Now, the beauty of saying it sounds like is by saying it sounds like, it gives the customer the opportunity to correct us and give us the real emotion, which then helps us probe even further. Isn't that awesome? So by noticing that vocal inflection and noticing how the customer is feeling and empathizing with them, it gives us the opportunity to probe for further pain during the sales and discovery process. Now, why does that matter? It matters because if we don't know that, we can't close. We can't sell the prospect on the next step of the sales process or the appointment. And just that act, those two things made up about 90% of the gains that we had made. Was the curveballs and then probing and mirroring. So 3 things, technically. Good counting, Scott, but that's why I'm in sales, baby. Now, closing, of course, ABC. Always be closing. So by undercut, because there's no solid close without that discovery made. There's no solid close without that probing and mirroring process. Because if we could be the best, used car salesman in the world, but if we don't understand what's important to the prospect, how many deals do you expect to close? It's like trying to build a rocket without knowing physics. How does that work? It does, and the answer is it doesn't. Because if we don't understand what's most important to the prospect, how can we position the next step of the sales process as the solution to what it is that they're going through? Now, all of this seems very straightforward, but everybody that I've learned from who has the most brilliant processes always focus on keeping things the most simple. Pause for effect, because it's really important that you guys realize that the less is more. The less that we have our sales team focusing on, the less that we have, or you as an appointment setter are focusing on in your sales process, the easier it's going to be to execute the really meaningful things that maximize the conversion rates. So the last thing is tone and mindset. The same way that I've been using my vocal inflection, where being a little bit playful, lowering my voice, and then asking questions and being a little more nurturing and warm here, as I'm doing now. And then lastly is confidence. That's really the drywall, so to speak, to the rest of our house. This is what makes it pretty. This is the interior design. This is what gives the client or user an incredible experience, is the tonality and the mindset. It's the confidence to give them that peace of mind that, hey, I'm in good hands here. Scott or whoever's listening to this is really going to take care of me. And then lastly, it's tone. Is what is the emotion that our voice is communicating? Now, this is really important because if we're not giving a varied experience, if we're just talking dry and monotone the whole time, how engaging is that? It's like watching a movie that's just one emotion. It's terrible. And my favorite movie is The Untouchables. It's a French movie. But what that movie does is such a great job of is that the lows are tragic lows, they're heart-wrenching lows. And then the highs are hilarious banter, great vibes, upbeat energy, but it takes you through this entire character arc. And it also layers in character development on top of that, both of the two main characters, in addition to taking you through this riveting drama. And because of that, it's one of the best movies of all time. It's won an Oscar for foreign films back in this best foreign film in 2011. So make sure, and David Sandler talks about this, is that sales is a Broadway play played by a psychologist. What that means is by marrying all these elements together. So in summary, ability to handle curveballs, objections, and fake yeses. And number 2, probing and mirroring. Number 3, closing, creating clear next steps. And then tone and mindset. So anyways, if you want the appointment setting training that goes along with this, stay tuned for one of our other videos. Subscribe to the channel and go ahead, subscribe to more of our free training that's only accessible via email. So anyways, catch y'all later.